So Duke has this brotherhood podcast. I'm sure you've probably seen it. I think Caleb Foster seems to kind of be like one of the showrunners on this. I think
Like
Tyrese
used
Proctor.
to, it used to be Ryan Young's podcast. Ryan Young was like the host.
Oh, well, that's infinitely less interesting now.
Why?
I just I'm not a huge Ryan Young
I
guy.
think there's a player that like runs it every year, and obviously, given Ryan Young's status at Duke and playing time, he was the aforementioned podcast host.
Got it. Yeah, okay. I get it. Anyways, the Duke guys, they often feature players on Duke. It's been a big week for Duke because all this practice footage has come out. And while there are a lot of basketball programs out there that right now, including mine, who just wants to post like pictures of their ex-coach in the gym, and including yours, who just posts videos of every player golfing, Duke seems confident enough in their players' basketball abilities to put up clips of basketball. So I think everyone's taking notice of how talented this team is. One person taking note of how talented this team is, none other than former Purdue Boilermaker national runner-up Mason Gillis. Hashtag Mason Matters. Mason Gillis, who transferred to Duke. I think at the time we were told we got to make room for Cannon Catchings. Cannon Catchings doesn't end up at Purdue. Mason Gillis is long gone. He had completed his tenure anyway. Mason Gillis goes on this podcast, and this is a quote from Mason Gillis. This could be the most talented team I've ever played on. That's a quote from Mason Gillis. Now, you were just in the national championship game with the best college basketball player we've seen in 20 years. I do feel like this conversation is going to come back to the definition of talent because people are going to ask, like, how talented is Zach Edey really? And that pisses me off every time. Anyone that, like, people will try and argue Will Riley's way more talented than Zach Edey. And it's like, no, like, Zach Edey's the best we've seen ever. That's talent. Uh, with that said, what do you make of Mason Gillis implying that maybe this Duke roster is the most talented team he's been a part of?
I think he's right.
Really?
I think okay, but here's another thing you probably got to lay out here. Mason Gillis was also on a team that had Zach Edey, Travion Williams, Jaden Ivey. Like he definitely he played on some real talented teams at Purdue. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, this Duke team has man. They got Cooper Flag. They got I mean, however you feel about like Caleb Foster versus Fletcher Lawyer. I mean, the team's really good. Tyrese Proctor's really good. Braden Smith's better than Tyrese Proctor, but he's really good. So it's like, I don't know. It's when you go player by player, I think it's subject or what is it? Is the word subjective? It's like, what do you think? Like, is it because Cooper Flag and Man might be like top 5 picks? Are you taking them as more talented than Zach Edey, or are you taking Zach Edey, the 2-time National College Player of the Year?
Well, if we do position by position, you just alluded to it, but Braden Smith or Tyrese Proctor?
You also want to know where this is coming from before we do this exercise?
Maybe.
Mason Gillis is probably a little bit more okay with sitting behind Cooper Flag than sitting behind Trey Kaufman-Renn.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Now, Mason Gillis was also a great teammate at Purdue, so I don't think he's saying any of this in jest like that. But position by position, Braden Smith or Tyrese Proctor?
Braden Smith.
Zach Edey or Man?
Zach Edey.
Okay, so 2-0 Purdue.
But like at the same time, like like man could be nasty.
Stop it. Is every other answer easily Duke though? Like I would push back on this. Caleb Foster or Fletcher Lawyer? Who's better last year?
I think if you put Caleb Foster in Fletcher Lawyer's spot, it
You
might
don't
look.
think Fletcher Lawyer would be like awesome white Duke guard, shooting guard? They always have those guys.
You also might end up like Jaden Shoot.
I think he'd be closer to a poor man's Luke Kennard than he would be a Jaden Shoot. Fletch is
Oh
good, man. Fletch
yeah,
is
yeah. Fletch is good.
Caleb Foster was not good.
I'm taking Caleb Foster over
Caleb
Fletch.
Foster's a podcaster. Fletcher Lawyer's a good basketball player.
I'm taking Caleb Foster over Fletch.
I'm taking Fletch over Caleb Foster.
Okay.
It's 3-0 Purdue for me, 2-1. Let's go to small forward. Who we got?
What Heidi versus
Well, last year it was Lance Jones. You taking Lance Jones or Sion James?
Sion James.
It's pretty close, no?
Semi Sion James.
I think Lance Jones is better than Sion James.
I don't think so.
I think the only spot Duke wins for sure in the starting lineup is Cooper Flag over TKR. But if TKR had gotten 3 times the touches,
Why Gillis had to say this?
where this becomes obvious for Duke is like down the bench though, right? Because last year Mason Gillis was the 6th best player on Purdue. Mason Gillis might be the 11th best player on Duke this year.
True. So in that exercise,
Like Carter, are you taking Caleb first or are you taking Isaiah Evans?
Isaiah Evans,
Are you taking Will Berg or are you taking Malik Brown?
Malik Brown,
Are you taking Miles Colvin or are you taking Con Canoople?
Miles Colvin.
Actually,
I think so.
so then this might be closer than we're making it. I don't know. Kind of, it's a weird comment either way. Regardless of if you feel it's true or not. Like, do you think there's any sort of, I don't know, resentment or bad feelings from Mason on this?
No, I think he would have. I think he's part of the brotherhood now. He's in there. They're yeah.
This is your initiation. It's like when you join a frat and they put you through the hazing. Like,
Yeah.
the first hazing from Shire was like, you got to go on the Brotherhood pod and say, we're more talented than your Zach Edey team.
Yes, basically.
And Mason's like, I do that. Yes. Yes, sir, coach.
Yes, brotherhood, yes.
As long.
All right. No.
We'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you.
The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.